Hello everyone, MJ1990 here, and welcome back to Fire Emblem Thracia 776. Today we're doing Chapter 9. Now just give me a moment to, Okay. Click. Okay. Now we are synced up. Alright, so, Chapter 9. Not a very good chapter. It's really lame. It's not that hard, but if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to get wrecked horribly. However, if you use the strategy I'm using in this video, then you're probably only going to require, like, a tiny little bit of luck, and then the rest of the chapter is going to be, like, nothing. I'm doing this in post-production because, as I said, this chapter's lame, and it's really short, too. To our left is Trabant, the Emperor of, I believe, Southern Thracia. And, he's basically just asking Murloc, the boss of this chapter, to hunt down the bandits that he thinks are at Hannibal's mansion, which is to the top left of this map. Of course, he's making a mistake, because the people in that mansion are actually nobles of Leinster, which we are trying to save. Oh yeah, the girl to the right, the really hot one, might I add, is Altina. She is goddamn hot. And, yeah. That's all I have to say about her. So they leave. Murloc is staying back because he has to go kick some bandit ass. Or in this case, noble ass. And here we have Selfina, the Isadora wannabe, along with her father, Dorias, who I like to refer to as Luigi. Just look at that mustache. It is truly the Luigi mustache. Just give him freaking green clothes and a green cap, and you're freaking set. As for the other three characters, they're not really important. And here we have August and Leaf, and they're like, "Oh, stuff is happening in the chapter. We must go over to the house in order to advance the plot. Let us hurry, Leaf, because if we don't, then things will not be good." Okay, so here's where I explain my strategy for the chapter that basically nullifies pretty much all of its difficulty. We take Carion, we ferry him using Karen. Robert, Alba, and Kane are going to be thrown right into the house because they are of no use to us. I wouldn't even consider using them at all. Except for Robert. The problem is he is really weak at the start, but he has really good growths and he has a high pursuit critical coefficient, so... Like, if you want to train an archer, I would recommend him, if only for the fact that he is the only one of those four characters with any potential. Well, Selfina does have some potential, but that's only because she has better stats than the other guys, and she has a higher weapon rank. But her growths kind of suck, so you might want to just use her for a short while if you want to use her at all. Right here, I am measuring the amount of spaces Murloc can go, so I can position Asvel based on that. Hello, Evil Egg Waffle, you're not supposed to be here. Stop. You weren't supposed to be here. You're wrecking my commentary. Okay, right here, I have Carion talk to Selfina, and things happen. Sorry, Evil Egg Waffle. So Carion basically goes, "Hey, Selfina! Hey, do you happen to have a, sword that can make this chapter pointlessly easy?" And Selfina's like, "Oh, yes I do! Let me just reach into my purse. Ah, here it is, the Sword of Hacks. Here you go." And Carion's like, "Ah, I will use it wisely," by which I mean I will abuse it endlessly within this chapter. The sword we get from Selfina is the Elite Sword, and basically it's a sword that, when used, doubles your experience and adds +5 to your defense. Carion has a defense of 5, so this gives him a total of 10. If you park him on the house, that gives him an extra +10. All that totals up to 20 defense. And that's a lot. Pretty much nobody in this chapter will actually be able to harm Carion whatsoever. The boss and some of his wyverns are actually capable of harming him, but he can heal it off right away, so it's basically no damage whatsoever. And here's the luck-based part. This is where you need a little bit of luck, because Asvel has to survive 3 wyverns in order for this strategy to work. He also must have the Graf Caliber spell equipped, because it kills them in one hit, because it's effective against wyverns. Alright, so we got one generic wyvern down, here comes the second. Right here, I noticed, like, oh crap, Asvel's low in health. Will he be able to survive the boss? And if you looked at the boss's stats, they're pretty menacing. And he has high hit. And he could pretty much, like, friggin' wipe Asvel with his current health. However, Asvel manages to dodge, and he frickin' rapes the shit out of this boss, and the boss is like, fuck, I forgot you were a mage! I learned to regret my mistake, Well, thank you, Murloc, for being a dumbass. And then Asvel gets an awesome level up. By which I mean it's only mediocre. At least you got the important stats. But anyway, once you have one of those wyverns move out of their spot, then the rest just sort of go all over the place and attack whoever's closest by. Right here, we got the follow scroll. Yeah, that house and that follow scroll. Definitely visit there. Because scrolls are basically your lord and master in this game. Here is where Carion is going to start basically taking on all of these enemies all by himself, while everybody else just sits back on their couch and eats some soda. By which I mean eats popcorn. We start heading south because I want to take care of these knight dudes down here, as well as that bishop. The reason why is because I want to capture the bishop and jack all of his stuff. I'm not going to capture anything else in this chapter, mainly because the rest of the enemies just have very basic equipment that I really have no use for. However, that mage has a wind spell, a physics staff, a heal staff, and a meteor staff. Meteor tome. Yeah. And those are some pretty useful stuff. I could always get better weapons, but wind magic and physics staffs are kind of hard to come by. And meteors actually sell for a considerable amount of money in the market. Karen pretty much served her role in this chapter. However, I'm keeping her there just for the sake of backup, in case something goes wrong. And she does attack the bishop a few times, but it really doesn't make much of a difference regardless. And here comes the epic battle between Leif, Asvel, Finn, Havan, and Karen versus a whole bunch of knights and a bishop. Yeah, that was... I could have summarized that with just Leif and co, but who cares about that? I am a John man. Whatever that means. As always, I freaking abuse Leif's incredible dodge rate and just have him bait these enemies out. Then Asvel proceeds to clean house with these dudes. Finn and Havan don't really get to do much, however, they are basically like the best characters for capturing enemies at this point. Mainly because they have brave weapons, and those are not only accurate, but they allow you to hit more than once, and they do lots of damage. So, you know, very good for capturing enemy units, and that's basically all I ever use them for in this game. Occasionally I'll use it for directly offensive purposes. And the rest of this chapter is pretty much redundant, because this is basically all that's going to happen throughout the chapter. We just beat the crap out of the knights, capture the bishop, and Carion just continues to guard the house. Oh yeah, and Leif got some movement here, and I was like, what the hell? Damn it, now he can walk farther than Finn! Jeez, Leif, you have such high movement now. This is like one of the best Leifs in the history of mankind. I swear to God. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, here's where I decide, alright, this knight dude needs to move out of my way. So Havan just frickin' wrecks him. And Finn deals the finishing catching against the bishop. Oh crap, and critical right here. Boom! Right in the face. Experience! Lots of experience. I assume that's because bishops are promoted units. Let's see, there's not really much else that happens during this chapter. Oh yeah, I visit the house. This guy gives you a stamina drink, and basically what a stamina drink is if your character is too fatigued to join in the battle, just give him one of these, have him drink it, and he's ready to go. You can use him right away. There's not really much else noteworthy about this chapter, so I'm just gonna skip to the end and show you guys the stats of Carion. jeez, look at those stats already. He's gonna be a freaking beast after this. And we're back with the end of the chapter. Yeah, not much else to say. I don't really like this chapter. It's pointless, and it feels like it's filler, because you could have easily been without this chapter, and just had, like, Leaf just going over to the mansion and stuff, and that would be it. We didn't need this whole, oh man, we have to take care of all these soldiers bullcrap. I mean, they're kind of a waste of time, because Carion just basically breaks this chapter with his elite sword and eliteness in general. Thankfully, this is the last of the really stupid chapters in this game, and finally we're going to be seeing some really awesome chapters, starting with Chapter 10. And trust me, Chapter 10 is awesome! Oh yeah, here's Hotness again! I have to stare at her. Aw, I wasn't finished staring. Oh well. See you next time, ladies and gentlemen.